Good afternoon, the distinguished panelists, academician, research scholars, faculty, and the students who are attending this media conclave. Now, as far as the this particular word called sustainability is concerned, I came across this word in the late 80s. And in the late 80s, when I was working with Nestle, that or an early 90s, I was working with Nestle at that point in time in Vevey, the Switzerland, in their head office. They were talking about the growth, sustainable growth for the company, and earning more profits for its shareholders and making this company more valuable in the future. So at that point in time, they were talking about in 1990, they were talking about what kind of growth and market will be there in 2010, 2020. What kind of scarcity will have in terms of the foods because their business is based on milk. So what will be the substitute of protein at that point in time? Because the number of people are increasing, the resources are reducing. So how in these particular circumstances the company continue to achieve growth and a sustainable growth? So at that time they were experimenting with the idea of whether the soya will be the next substitute, the kind of oil that can come out with, because previously it was seed oil, right? A mustard oil which was used as a cooking medium. So what kind of cooking medium will have in future? What, because of the health consciousness, how people will change their preferences, what kind of awareness will have, and therefore company was working on that point, that field. Then in 1994, when I was working with Hindustan Lever, they also started talking about this kind of concept, that how the market is changing, the people thoughts are changing. Now in this change, how market dynamics are changing. Now in early 2000, in one of the chairman's speech, the Hindustan Lever first time introduced a word called VUCA, that we are in the world of volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world where everything is changing. And if you look at the population, the world population, which is 7 billion currently, and it's going to be in 2050, it will be 9 billion. And when 9 billion will have, there will be a disparity between the population of rich and poor. There will be more people whose belly has to be fed. So from where we will be getting all these, how we will be doing this, and then the impact of all this growth is coming on to the environment. The impact of all these is coming towards the energy that we are consuming. The industrialization is impacting. Now these are all which is impacting the world. Then when this impact is coming in, they started talking about that the population is increasing, rapid industrialization, globalization is happening due to overuse of natural resources, which is impacting the world. Then you increase use of energy consumption over the last decades is also impacting what should be the alternate energy sources that we should have. Now all these are all words which is leading us to understand what is a sustainable growth to be done, that we have to grow and without impacting the future of future generation. Whatever is required for the future generation, we have to protect that as well. That is what the word called sustainable means, and sustainable understood by the industry. Then if you look at world organization like UN also decided on 17 aspects of the sustainable growth that we need to work, which is on no hunger, which is on power, which is on health and hygiene issues, which is on protecting water. In this manner there were 17 areas that they have decided. So by this time, by the early 2000, most of the companies were getting aware of sustainable, that we have to grow, but we have to grow sustainably. Now in this growth, now if you look at the automobile companies, they were more concerned about their carbon, usage, the carbon that is coming into. If you look at the leather manufacturing units, they were more concerned about the environment and the kind of pollution they are making in the water, so how they can treat these water so that the pollution get reduced. now in now this is what we understand by the word called sustainable. Now I give you an example of one company, and that company is a very large company called Hindustan Lever, which is into many kind of products. And because they have the range of the products, so they looked at in each aspect how they are going to change. Padi sir, is the screen share is available now? I don't think that it is available now.
Yeah, it's not
So
actually.
it's fine, no problem. Now, if you look at Hindustan Lever, they looked at, so there are, first they fixed their objective, that what should be the objective. Then they looked at each item and what is the approach and the result, that every goal has to be measurable. Now, there are three aspects. One is health and hygiene and nutrition. Second is the environment. And third is the people, because these are the people are getting also affected with all this. And in these particular three aspects, how the company can make change and make a sustainable growth, and keeping all these in mind, that we protect our future. And also, when you are talking about the sustainable growth, you have to also see the interest of the investors and shareholders, because they may think that it is going to impact your profit margin, it may impact their profitability. But the company on the other side, the company says to its shareholders that when you make a sustainable growth, it gives you the profits, it increases the balance sheet, and also give you the competitive advantage. Now, to give you an example, that improving the health and well-being of in health and hygiene and nutrition, the kind of steps the Hindustan Lever took actually impacted 1 billion people. 1 billion people. That is what is being measured by 2020. Now, in health and hygiene, they talked about reduce the diarrhea and respiratory disease through hand washing, provide safe drinking water, improve access to sanitation, improve oral health, improve self-esteem, help improve skin healing, and all these can be done through by washing your hands. So they have a product called Lifebuoy. Now I am not able to show that particular commercial. I was having it. Now commercially, what they did, they had a scout camp where the kids said that, okay, before eating we should wash our hands. You may have all seen that particular commercial. And then it says that, okay, 1 minute we have to wash. Then the girl comes in, a small girl, says, your washing your soap is it takes 1 minute to clean your hand. I use Lifebuoy, and which instantly gives me a clean hand. Now, with that particular thing, they promoted. So, in their communication, through their communication, which was spread through the television audience, television medium, they reach out and impacted 1 billion people. Then, in terms of the nutrition, when they're talking about the improving the nutrition, and they took remove the fat and reduce the sugar and reduce the calories in all children ice cream, and all ice cream related product, you just reduce the fat and the sugar level, and reduce the calories, which will provide a good health to the children. So with the change in the product, they again, and through the hand washing and this improving nutrition, which they reach out and impacted around 1 billion people. In terms of in the field of environment, reducing the environmental impact, they targeted that we should whatever the impact that we are making as a company on the environment, we should reduce it by half by 2000. So goal was fixed for 2030, and they said that our goal is to reduce the environmental footprint of making and using of our product by half. Now there they took four areas. One is the greenhouse gases, second is the water usage, third is the waste and packaging, and fourth is sustainable sourcing, that how we can make the changes. Now in case of greenhousing, they said, and the objective was our product life cycles. They said first, half the greenhouse impact of our product across life cycle. And with this particular program of greenhouse, which was saying that the impact for per consumer has increased by 2% in by since 2010, that all the product life cycle that they have, they are impacting the environment has increased by 2%. So they said we will be manufacturing by 2020 emission from energy from our factories will be at or below 2008 levels, despite significantly higher volumes. With this particular step, they were able to reduce the carbon emission by 65% from the level of 2008. Now, becoming carbon positive in manufacturing, so what they did, source all energy renewable. The energy should be renewable. So they went into solar energy, water energy, wind energy, source grid electricity renewability, eliminate coal from energy mix, make surplus energy available to communities, that within the areas that they have the factories and all, they started providing them the alternate source energy sources. Now with this, they were able to reduce the carbon emission in the environment. The second is in the greenhouse itself, they reduce the greenhouse from transportation. They reduce the thing from carbon emission from the refrigeration. They reduce the energy consumption in their offices. They made the offices more solar friendly, more open friendly. So they renovated their entire infrastructure of the offices. Reduce employee travel. That will itself reduce our contribution towards the carbon emission. Now, with all these things, they actually participated in the UN thing of alternate and clean energy. They participate in responsible consumption and production. They also helped in climate action. They also help in life on land. Now, these are the steps they took towards in the aspect of greenhouses only. When we are talking about the water usage, they said the product usage is half the water associated with consumer use of our products by 2020. Our water impact per consumer increased by around 1% since 2010. So they said that we have to, by taking this action of energy emission and everything, they were able to reduce the water abstraction per ton of production since 2008 by 47%. They reduced it. To reduce water usage in the laundry process. So contributing to the following sustainable growth of clean water and sanitation, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and participation for the partnership for the goal of the UN partnership. In terms of waste and packaging, what they did, increase recycle and recovery rates, increase recycled content, tackle sachet water, eliminate PVC from their productions. So recycle, reuse, and recover, reduce paper consumption, eliminate paper in processing, So with all these steps, they were contributing to the sustainable growth of, again, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below the water, because and partnership for the goal. In case of sustainable sourcing of the raw material. Now, in this, they said that we will be sourcing 100% of our agricultural raw material sustainably. And with this, 62% of agricultural raw material sustained source by end of 2019. So sustainable palm oil, paper and board, soya bean and soya oil, tea, fruit, vegetable, cocoa, sugar. These are all taken raw material taken from agriculture, but with a sustainability. Sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, dairy products, cage-free eggs. Now, increasing sustainable sourcing of office material, all these things, they contributed towards the climate action, the life on land, and zero hunger, reducing the hunger, basically making more products available for the people. Now, these were the steps that they took towards the environmental. Now, when they were talking about the enhancing the people, the livelihood of millions of people, uh, as they are growing their businesses, so they talked about fairness in workplace. They talked about opportunities should be given more to the women, and inclusive businesses. So in 2020, they said the human right across our operation and extended supply chain. So 70% of the procurement spent through suppliers meeting our responsible sourcing policy mandatory requirement that they had. They continued to embed human rights, focusing on 8 salient issues in their human rights report. They also talked about that the total recordable frequency rate for safety reached to 0.76 per million hours worked. Now, if you look at all these is the implementation of UN guiding principle on business and human rights, sourcing 100% of procurement spend in line with responsible sourcing policy, create framework for fair compensation, improve employee health and nutrition and well-being. And with this they were contributing towards the good health and well-being of people, decent work and economic growth required, reducing inequalities, and partnership with the UN Charter. When they talked about the opportunities for women, by 2020 they empowered 5 million women. That is, what they did is the 2.34 million women enabled to access initiative aiming to promote their safety, develop their skill, or expand their opportunities. So what they did, build a gender balanced organization with a focus on management, promote safety for women in communities where they are operating, enhance access to training and skills, expand opportunities in their retail value chain. With this, they were contributing towards the sustainable growth of good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, and reducing inequalities. When they talked about the inclusive businesses, they had a positive impact. They positively impacted the lives of around 5.5 million people, 793,000 smallholders, smallholding farmers, and 1.8 million small scale retailers enabled to access initiative aiming to improve agriculture practices or increase their incomes. So with this, they improve the livelihoods of smallholder farmers, improve incomes of small scale retailers. With this initiative, they impacted on no poverty, decent work and economic growth, reduce inequalities, and climate action. Now, this is how they progressed in the three aspects of whether it is health and hygiene and nutrition. They looked at environment and they looked at the well-being of people. Now, in this entire process is done through the ICT, that is information and communication technology. When you look at,
Yes.
I had a grid in
So,
front of me which I created. I thought I will be able to showcase
sir,
it.
the timing, like we have 20 minutes, so the next speaker will
Okay,
speak,
okay,
and
no
then I will
problem.
take
I'm
some
just finishing.
question. Yes, sir.
ICT actually use, I'm just giving you one example in economic, environmental, and social. When you look at the key practices, reducing cost, achieving stakeholders satisfaction, enhancing sales, creating new business model, quality initiative, and creating competitive advantage, you can have this with the all the automation, informating, transformation, infrastructure, and the ICT plays an important role because you can automate everything. You can reduce the power and processing of information, and collection of data is there with you, which is measurable. So this is how the role of ICT helps in achieving all these goals. Thank you
Okay.
very much.